Hello, and welcome
Hello.
to another session about motivation and what's the state of the engineering job market. Today, together with me is Jorge Martins. Hello.
Hello, Mateusz.
Uh, so maybe let's start with a short introduction. You're a senior director of engineering at Lokalise. Can you introduce yourself? What's your story?
Of course, and hi everyone. So yes, I am at the moment senior director of engineering at Lokalise, and pretty much day to day I work with the product and engineering teams on the people topics like building culture, delivery, like road mapping, also like strategy, of course. On top of my responsibilities, I'm also part of the engineering leadership team in Lokalise, and also as part of the extended leadership team of the company.
Cool. So like you're seeing it firsthand, as well as you're most probably hiring engineers and like being in this process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe let's start with a big question. Before we will like go into the actual topic of motivating, what are the challenges, obstacles of the engineering teams and engineering leaders at the moment. If you would have a crystal ball and maybe bet on the future of engineering job markets. What is your viewpoint? What's ahead of us? Like we hear a lot about tech winter. Is it already is it already behind us, or is it like we are somewhere in the middle? What's going to happen in the next months and years for the engineers?
Yeah, of course, it's always like a guessing game, but based on what we see already, I think I can share my view on it. And probably the first thing is that I feel that the uncertainty will stick for some time. I think we will need to get used to it. I think that the time that we live after the COVID, it was out of the normal. I don't think that we will see like something like that in the market for the time being, and it's for many reasons. Like I think the first is that we are now starting to see a shift on the industry. Companies went through like the strategies of like growing at any cost to sustainable growth, which changes completely the way they are hiring. On top of that, as all of you know, there was layoffs, and I think layoffs will still happen as a tool to optimize costs and to adjust to these sustainable growth. So in my opinion, I think we will still keep seeing the layoffs as we go. Apart from that, of course, there are the trends. AI, I think, is here and it will stay here. We will still seeing like lots of people looking for AI specialized jobs such as AI/ML and other functions, both because they are building their own solutions, but also to research or adopt like what is happening in the field. On other areas, I would say that remote work, although we are seeing lots of return to the office and so on, I think that we will still have lots of options there, and it will happen still. But in the end, in terms of the market itself, I think that this is still a good market. I don't think that we will see the numbers that we saw before, meaning that there are fewer offers. It's probably harder to get like that job that you are really looking into, like the perfect job. Maybe also fewer perks in terms of compensation and other perks as well. And in the end, more competition. I think we need to get ready for a more competitive environment. And I'm seeing it already. And I can, for instance, look into the past 3 years. And back in those days, like when we were hiring at Lokalise, I think it was actually in a very different market where every time we were opening a new position into the market, we were getting 3-5 applications, and the rest of it was pretty much our talent team to reach out on LinkedIn and proactively approach people. Now it's a different story. Like if we open a position on Monday, on Friday, we will get 300 applications. So, and why is that? Because there is more people in the market, and something I see already is some top talent being rejected, which it's a new thing, but still, I think the opportunities are there, and it's still a market to invest. We just need to get used to a different mindset and for bigger competition.
Cool. So this is I hear positivity at what you're saying. So maybe before, because you mentioned quite a lot of potential challenges also for engineering leaders and hiring managers on how to spot the right talent and etc. Maybe before we will venture in that path, you mentioned that now you see like 300 people applying for the same position. I guess for many engineers who started their careers, it's the first time they face a situation when it's harder to get a job. Do you have any, like, as a first of all, as a hiring manager as well as a engineer and engineering leader, do you have any tips for people who are currently looking for jobs on what they should do and how they should what they should do to land that, maybe not the perfect job, but at least the one that they are aiming for?
Absolutely. So I can give my shot here. So first thing, I would say that you should really take ownership on your career, like on your career growth and so on. And of course, this is not new, but it's more important than ever. Why? Because if we have more competition, I think you really need to be on top of it. And I think part of it is that like the market is now full of people. I remember that a few years ago we were struggling to hire. Actually, we had to go to universities to attract people from the beginning because we were struggling to hire. That was creating as well like more people to go to like crash courses on how to learn how to program like in 6 months or so, which means that those people are already in the market, so even more competition. On top of that, layoffs and all of that, so it's more competition, as I was saying. So first, really take ownership in your career. Don't wait for anyone to actually tell you what to do. You need to be responsible for your own career. And then as part of how to do it, I think having a personal development plan is the basics. And my advice there is always trust on your vision, really understand what drives you, what is your passion, go after it, understand what are the gaps, like what are the things that you probably are missing and are important for you to get that job. Get ready with preparation. So if you are getting a new job, study like the company, study the industry, try to understand what they are using and try to prepare like accordingly. But yeah, those are like the probably the standard tips that you will Google and find for it. On top of that, going a bit more personal, I would say that my first advice would be go beyond what is the basics, the fundamentals. I think, especially now with AI, just coding, it's the easy part, right? There is much more than that. So I think my advice is master the skill set, not only the language they use, but really how to build scalable solutions, how to build resilient solutions, how the things fit together, the fundamentals of computer science and all of that. Then about mindset, not only about being good at the hard skills, but like bringing the product engineering mindset, the care about the customers, who are your customers, what are the problems that you are facing, and working with close relationship with product and design to find the solutions. Not only working on the solution space or the problem space, but also on the solution space. Then another advice would be to be adaptable. I think, as I said in the beginning, we will see some ambiguity like still for the time being. So being adaptable, really trying to understand what is important for a given moment and not be afraid of going outside of the comfort zone and learn, like having this growth mindset, I think is more important than ever. Another element, if we have more competition, I think it's also about building a strong network around you. I think referrals are more and more important now when you have more competition. Again, if I receive like 300 applications, it's super hard to go through them. So make sure that you have like good connections, that you are building a very strong relationship with your colleagues. Maybe tomorrow they will help you to go through it. And probably finally, to wrap up, another very important aspect that I always advise people is to work on emotional intelligence. Normally, people don't talk about these things much, but to navigate through like the current situation, I think it's about really not only what you can do with your hands and coding, but also like how do you think, how do you approach the situations. I think that the attitude is more and more important, because again, things change quickly. If you have the right attitude, you will learn the things like quite fast, and that's what companies are looking for, like the attitude, the potential. So work on your social skills. Make sure that you are not like that type of engineer that likes to be on a cave, like with a hoodie, drinking Coca-Cola. Like really be social. Understand as well your emotions. How do you react to events? Like no matter if it's a layoff, no matter if it's like a downturn or so. Try to understand how do you react to the situations, and build some resiliency, because you can change the event, but you can change the way you react to it. Yeah, like self-awareness as well, like really understanding what are your gaps, where we are, and work on it.
Awesome. Thank you. Maybe just one very short follow-up, like in couple of words. If you would be now like a junior, someone maybe switching career or starting, maybe not after this crash course on how to write in specific language, what would be like two things, the first major things that you would focus on as a wannabe engineer?
So again, probably the first advice I give, especially to junior people that are starting a career, is be really good at all the things that your team will be doing every day. That's it. And sometimes this is important, because sometimes people in the beginning, they start looking into everything. They go into all directions. I want to learn mobile. I want to learn like AI. I want to learn all the things. But okay, you will get there. But before, focus. Really be good at the things that you need to be like mastering every day. And that's my advice. Like focus. Don't get lost with the hype and all the things that are happening. I think it's important to follow up and really understand what are the things that are being discussed, and reading a bit to understand, okay, what's the topic? Is it important or not? But be careful not to go into a rabbit hole of the hype driven. So focus. Awesome. It will be.
So you mentioned also that there's like this shift in dynamics from hyper growth and growth at all costs to sustainable companies. So before we will maybe go into the actual motivation tools, techniques, what engineering leadership can do, I wanted also to pick your brain on the topic of the organization cultures. So I think there was a time, especially before COVID, well, I think it's all started with those images that we saw about, Google, beautiful offices, more like hotels rather, or spa, rather than the actual office. And a lot of companies were building a lot of perks, like a lot of this narrative of we are just one big family. We are going to have fun in the process of having fun, being creative. We will build something of value and possibly win the market in the end. I think with the layoffs, there was a moment of disillusionment, like for many engineers, but not only for tech workers. There was a moment, okay, like we were a family, and now you're saying me I need to go. Like what's that? Do you think it's it's a pattern? Like how is it our industry maturing, or what's the shift on the cultures, and what's your take on that point? Will it be like will we get back to this family narratives, or what's the future for company cultures and narratives for the employee value proposition, let's say?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally recognize with what you're saying, and I saw it happening in front of me, and I really see a shift from like this family-like culture to more like, let's say, a sports team culture, where probably the big difference is that on the family-like culture, the companies are optimizing for long-term loyalty and like further care and so on, where the sports team are more into like results, excellence and
efficiency.
So on. Exactly. And I think pretty much because of what we discussed in the beginning, like the company is really looking into the sustainable growth and achieving results and being more lean. I think the sports culture is that we will see more and more. I don't think that I think the family is losing a bit, in my opinion, of course. Now, does it mean that it's like a binary thing? Like you need to choose one or the other. I don't think so. Like, in my opinion, I think actually you can take a bit of like the good things on one and the other. And I was also like playing sports like for some time, and the best teams I saw like in close were actually the ones that if I go to the locker room, they were the ones like with a strong bond, like supporting each other, of course holding each other highly accountable, but still like supporting. So in my opinion, and what I try to do as well in my teams, is that I think indeed like a sports team mentality is important, in a way that we can't forget that why do we exist as a business, like to have the better results, to work in the best way, and so on. So like pointing into that direction, doing making sure that everyone is growing, that everyone is being better, like tomorrow, like 1% every day, that we have clear goals, that we are like pursuing them, achieving them, like celebrating them and building this, and while doing it, not forgetting about the people, about like making sure that everyone is equipped with the right culture, with the right environment every day to really thrive. And in the end, if we can take this, ensuring that there is psychologically safety in the environment, where the people can have a learning environment as well, where failing, it's not the problem, it's more about what we do with him. I think we can still have a very good culture. Maybe the main difference in the end, like while comparing the two types of culture, is that at some point, sometimes unfortunately, we need to accept that some people don't fit into that culture. It doesn't mean that the companies are not supporting. And for everyone that works with me, I think they know how much I invest in people, and that I'm not the person to give up on people. And that's why, like, I think still we can support people, we can be there to make sure that people are growing, but still looking into the results and why we are doing what we do in our business.
Mm-hmm. So I think you mentioned a very important keyword, so psychological safety, for the teams to even venture and like explore some of the areas of their performance and unblock some of the potential opportunities to grow. So there's a lot of people who there was a lot of said about people who were affected by the layoffs, and like of course like they are directly affected. But I think there was also a toll, and I've seen it also firsthand. I guess you also said that you've seen it, that after the layoffs, the survivors, let's say, are also like having like struggling emotionally, struggling with the psychological safety. And for the leaders, it actually creates maybe not new challenges, but different challenges that they've seen before. What are the techniques, tools as a senior leader that to your fellow leaders that you would give? Okay, how to rebuild this confidence, how to rebuild at least some kind of space where the teams can feel once again safe enough to even venture into okay, I admit that I have some opportunity to grow, and maybe there's some underperformance that I need to handle. How do you work with your teams, and what are your secret sauce, secret techniques?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have any secret sauce, but so the way I was looking into like the downturn and like all the events that we went through in our industry, is that first things first. I think that if you are going through layoffs, downturn, and these events, it means that you are also going with more stress, more anxiety. So my starting point is, okay, self-care. Like, make sure that you as a leader are in a good position, that you are really prioritizing things that makes you feel better. It may be sports, it may be like whatever it works for you, but really it's like using the airplane oxygen mask like analogy, right? You are on an airplane, something is wrong, like there is a release of the oxygen mask, and what they tell you is, okay, put it first, like before really looking to other people. And I think it's the same here. As a leader, you must be like in a good position. If you do it, you are also inspiring others to do the same. Like, and if you are taking care of yourself, people will also be invited to take care of themselves. And if we start from here, like I think we are more set for success to go through like hard times. I think my second advice would be to, again, continue by leading by example, namely how you are reacting to the situation, because people are looking at you as a leader, right? If you are stressed, they will feel stressed. If you are happy, they probably will also smile at you. So try to be in a position that you are like leading by example, staying positive, and like focusing on results, like and the solutions, and not only on the problems. And if you do it, like also the people will feel more inspired to do it. And of course, like leading always with empathy. I think these are hard times, as you said. It's hard for, especially when layoffs happen, it's hard for the people that is leaving, but also for the people that is staying. So leading with empathy, I think communication is key, like both on being with the right level of transparency, with the right level of detail, and sometimes it's tough. Let's not say that is not, but yeah, communication is key. And here I think that there are like several ways of doing it when we are communicating such events, because they will be important not only for the situation, but also setting the stage for what's next. And I think regular communication is super important, like being honest about what are the reasons, because the more people are aligned, the more it will be easy to actually have everyone aligned to what needs to happen to the business. And I think that's important by conducting all ends, like promoting other events such as fireside chats, ask me anything, like sessions and so on. I think it's also a very important moment to reconnect with the strategy, with the vision, and especially when things are going wrong. It's not only about what we want to achieve, but also what we don't want to achieve, like saying no to what is not important, so that people are really focused on what can move the needle. And then from my experience, I think one of the reasons why engineers got really demotivated is when they are not seeing results as well. So I think it's important to focus on what are the next milestones, what are the next things that we can celebrate to actually build some momentum with the teams, and celebrate. Like I think when we go through downturn, we sometimes forget that we are doing good things and so on. So looking into execution will bring like confidence to the teams to actually build morale for what's next, and then also probably. I would say that innovation is sometimes forgotten. Like during these times, we are so focused on other things that I don't think we should forget about the innovation. Keep continuing, like investing on like hackathons, like allowing the space for the teams to really try new things and so on.
Be creative.
That's important. Yeah, and be creative. Absolutely.
Because like layoff is of course one big event usually, or like it's a moment in time, but then what I think we've seen also, and I've seen it in some of our clients' organizations as well, is that like a lot of companies are struggling. They are fighting against the tide. So basically, like they are doing everything according to their strategy. They are focused on the engineering side. They're like building very crafted experiences, like technically those are maybe not perfect but close to perfect solutions. But then on the other hand there is a business, and there's a market that sometimes is not as forgiving, and for many teams I've seen, they are like in this, let's say, kind of fire mode for such a long time now, like it's a year or 2 years of fighting. Okay, we reach our business goals? Like market is very, very tough. For from that perspective of this, like maybe not like a very intense one moment of okay, there's something very serious happening in the organization, but more of this constant pressure. How do you work with your engineering teams? How would you work with your engineering teams if this is not your reality, to be sure that they will just not be burned out in the process of like this long struggle, long fight of okay, will we see the results?
Yes, that's a good question, because like there is always like some pressure, but the pressure just gets bigger when the environment is like very tense or so on. So I would say that focus is really important, because what happens sometimes is that the teams are really busy. Like they are just having like 2, 3, 4 like initiatives at the same time, and they, with all the context switching, with all the things that and the penalty of all of that, they end up by being very busy and like overworking, but not seeing the results like fast enough, because the more you do, like the more time it will take to achieve results. And that's my first advice to my managers, is really focus, like drop things. Sometimes I'm the one saying, okay, you're doing too much. Like, what can you drop? Like, what are the one thing that you can do? And I repeat it like until I feel that. And sometimes I even go to their boards and see, okay, like the work in progress is so high, the people will burn out. Like just focus on things. So if I have to name one thing, it will be that, like focus, reducing the work in progress, and that will allow people to, again, achieve value faster. By achieving value, they feel that they are delivering things. They feel like the recognition, the celebration part, and so on, and that can mitigate a bit like that pressure of that happens in these environments.
Like when we were, talking before the event, and as we still have a couple of minutes, like you mentioned, like, and we talked about this, the leader has this unique position that, they can spot that something is wrong with a person. I mean, wrong in a positive way, that someone is demotivated, maybe, stressed too much. There are some, they're emotionally struggling. And then there's this risk of, okay, how far as a leader I can venture into, helping that person to cope with their emotions. Like to some extent, it's a role of a leader, as you said, like, be this example, maybe, a kind of like, show off some positive emotions, and, they will mirror that. But where is, how to find this right moment? Okay, this is something that, needs to be handled by the professional, and when to back off as a leader. Like, do you also work with your teams on that angle? Okay, how far they can get to, because you said empathy, you said emotional intelligence. Those are the things that, like, where's the boundary?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good question, and sometimes it's actually very hard to understand what is the boundary. But this is how I see it. Like, and actually in Lokalise, we had some training, like from one of we have like a provider for mental health support, and one of the training sessions we had was actually to equip some people in the organization with something that is called like mental health first aid support. And one of the things that we learned there, and I try to apply every day, is really to understand what's the line between what's in the scope of what the manager can do. And there is a lot, of course, like, are you happy like with the scope of work? Do you have any conflict, or what is happening? Like, I think that's where the manager can do a huge impact, like understanding how to resolve conflicts and so on. But there is a line where the person is probably struggling already, like mentally, and it may be the cause of a burnout or like anxiety or so, where the managers, let's be honest, like they are not equipped to deal with it, because they are not like psychotherapists. They are not like professional granted with that specialization. So, and I think the way I look into it is, okay, what can I do here? Is this like work related? If it is, let's go. Sometimes it's not, and the manager can still like try to help by, for instance, offering like some time off, like for the person to go through the situation and showing like support and so on. I think that's where like the managers can do. When it goes after that, when you see that the person is acting in a way that clearly is not okay, I think the managers should really escalate that to the other like forms, and making sure that the person will follow like another type of treatment. But yeah, it's challenging, but we try to discuss openly about if we are seeing like any of those cases, because the first skill that we should master here is actually the being able to see it, right? And because if you are like trained to spot it, you probably can act like earlier.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're out of time, but I would like to give you just one last space. Like, if you would be to leave our audience, engineering directors, engineering managers, engineering leaders, with one sentence, like key takeaway from for people who are facing these challenges on the market? What would it be?
Okay, it's a tough one. So the key takeaways, I would say that again, focus on the other pieces that are like behind what is coding in our industry, like emotional intelligence, like being adaptable, like get ready to more competition, you must be able to distinguish from like more people right now. So I think that if you work on your attitude and while leveraging these, I think you are more equipped to navigate through both like the competition on the market, but also through what's coming in our industry with AI and all of that. So invest on these, and I think you will find. But I'm a positive person, and I don't believe on those predictions that we are getting out of jobs like very soon. I think AI actually is here, and we need to embrace it. But I think it will start and it will stick for quite some time as a very good assistant that we can leverage, and not so much as someone that will take our jobs like immediately. So use it smartly. By using it smartly, you will be more productive, so you can do more things. You will have space to other things, to invest on more complex topics, and the more you do it, the more equipped you will be to be in the market and have like the dream job.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Like we are finishing with a hype word of the year. AI is here to stay, and let's embrace it. Thank you very much for your sharing your tips and tricks, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and thanks for the talk, Mateusz.